No, John, I see you, John. Like, I see your comments. No, I know you care about football. The people I'm talking about that care about football, there's a different level. We care about college football here a lot more than it's cared about in a lot of the West Coast.
Absolutely.
But I'll use the argument of the San Francisco TV market. So the San Francisco TV market, right, is the number 6 market, I believe, number 5, 6 market in the country. So the Pac-12 has that. The Big Ten could have it if they went and got Cal and Stanford, right, or one or the other.
Right.
But say they went and got Cal and Stanford and brought them in, like as been rumored that they're interested in. So they get Cal and Stanford into the mix, and they have the San Francisco TV market, but it's kind of fool's gold in a way, in that, you know what, the Birmingham TV market, which is much smaller, watches a whole lot more college football than the San Francisco TV market. So even though there's more people there, more people in Birmingham, more concentrated viewership in Birmingham watches college football. So more people in Birmingham, which is not a small city, but it's not San Francisco, are watching college football than the people in San Francisco, where they have 2 big colleges. Now, part of that is because Alabama's there and they're the best thing going right now, but part of it also is just about the local passion. So yeah, they care, but like, people care, but like, I'm telling you, if you have not been, like, just comparatively being out, I've been out there, I've been, go all over the country, people care about football here. We care about high school football in Texas. Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 other states that like could get in the ballpark of where we are, Ohio, parts of Pennsylvania, like southern Pennsylvania, really. Yeah. But, I mean, for all intents and purposes, and I don't mean this as a shot at all, but most everywhere else in the country, when you leave high school, you don't go hang out at high school football games. It's not a shot. It's just in Texas, it's a huge, huge deal. And so we care about football from peewee to high school all the way up the line. So, again, you're talking about concentrated passion as opposed to spread out passion.
Yeah, and I also think it's kind of a lifeblood here. It kind of reminds me of when you look at the TV markets in the Northeast, right? They're more concentrated on your NBA, your MLB, and everything, because there's not enough college vibes up there. I guess there's more. Well,
there's more things. There's more than just the college,
right?
This is like Waco's a college town. When we started doing a show here, which has, thank God to all of you, become far more national. But when we started, we were doing college first before we started talking about the Cowboys,
right,
and the Rangers and everything else. It was Baylor first, then everything else. Now we're college football first, and then everything else. And part of the reason is that we have that concentrated effort and thought is we're in a college football market. You go up to Dallas, I'm guest on Dallas radio shows quite frequently because they have guys who know college football, but they're not in it.
Yeah.
Like we are. And so, yeah, we go, because Dallas is a pro sports market. They have 3 sports stations there, 2 of them that are wildly successful right now in the Ticket and the Fan. And the Ticket is the sports talk station that kind of started it all. But they will talk when the Ticket's not goofing around. Mm-hmm. The Fan is almost all Cowboys all the time. But they will talk Cowboys, Mavericks, Rangers, Stars, mostly before they get to college football. Now, look, if it's, Texas OU weekend or something like that, then maybe stuff gets moved to the top of the queue. Baylor's on a roll, that gets moved to the top of the queue. But the Cowboys signing Kevontae Turpin got way more talk because they're all out there in Oxnard right now than the Big 12, Pac-12 and Dallas sports radio. In Los Angeles, the day that UCLA and USC left, people were talking about what are the Lakers going to do?
Yeah, or Kevin Durant.
Or Kevin Durant. Yeah. Are the Lakers going to get Kevin Durant? Or can the Lakers, get Kyrie Irving and all these different things? That's what they were talking about. Can the Dodgers get healthy? Why is Max Muncy only hitting 208? That's what they were talking about. Those were the things that they brought up. They brought it up, but it was in passing. So there's a difference, and it's not about states. It's more about markets. So in San Francisco, you know what they're worried about? Is Trey Lance going to be the starter? If he's not, is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be healthy at any point? The Warriors, what are they going to do in the offseason to defend their title?
Right.
Giants and A's, all that stuff. The San Jose Sharks offseason, all that stuff's there. believe me, I wonder when the last time that Bay Area sports radio spent any time or even local news coverage outside of on Saturdays when they play, any time on Cal or Stanford.
Maybe when Marshawn took the cart. I mean, that's probably about it.
But I mean, like Saturday, sure. Like if you're doing news on Saturday in the fall in the Bay Area, yeah, you're going to throw up some Cal and Stanford highlights and maybe a USC thing because that's a good sports report. But you got 4 minutes or less most of the time, so you're probably going to say like, oh, hey, Trey Lance getting ready for the big game this week. Kyle Shanahan says this. That's what you're going to do. So part of it is not like the market size, but how much the whatever market cares about something.
I also think it would be like expecting the Paul Feinbaum show to be moved out of the SEC and put in – like I don't think the Paul Feinbaum show, if it went to the Pac-12 or up in the West Coast, would get near as much attention or be nearly as popular as it is just because of the base. Am I wrong in that aspect?
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Look, we saw Cal and Stanford delivered San Francisco like Rutgers delivers New York. It's something that they can say, but – how many New Yorkers are really sitting back? I mean, they got that so they could get the cable station, but they're, the Big Ten networks not bragging about all the people from Piscataway, New Jersey watching the channel. They're not. I mean, it helped them get that TV deal, but I mean, that's why, I would like
to see the numbers though. I don't think that's really driving much.
I don't think so either. USC and, UCLA bring the LA market so they can say we're in Chicago, New York, LA, and DC. Like they can say that. They've got that. Columbus, Ohio is a gigantic market. They're in Detroit because of Michigan and Michigan State. Like they've got these big, gigantic, huge media markets where a lot of the schools are big schools that have big alumni bases like Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State. But some of them, are smaller places. So they've got that. But again, to me, that is a little bit fool's gold in that, yes, you have these big television markets, but
it doesn't translate.
It doesn't necessarily translate. I'm not saying it's not important. Would I like the ACC or the Big 12 to be able to say those same kind of things so that all this nonsense could stop? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But sometimes, the Miami Hurricanes do not necessarily move the needle in Miami.
I see it. That's hard for me to believe.
I mean, they do, but Miami sports don't necessarily move the needle in Miami unless they're good. Miami is a stars town, man. Like, they are about stars. They're about celebrity. They're about success. They're about this. If you're not good, they don't care. The Marlins. Okay? Look, the Heat, when were the Heat the most popular? When they had the three of the best players in the league. When LeBron was there. They were the most popular then. When they had, or before that, when they had Shaq, one of the most, famous people in the world was playing for the Heat. That's when they're the most popular. They're on an uptick right now because if they say they pull off Kevin Durant, that's going to be huge. Miami moves the needle for them when Miami was Miami. But they're not anymore. They're a shell of that.
Right.
So, yeah, the Dolphins, everybody would love the Dolphins to be good in Miami, especially the people who cover them. So they're not covering, abject mediocrity for all this time. So the argument about TV size, again, across the whole way, I would tell you the SEC has much better viewership than the Big Ten does across the markets that they say they have.
Oh, I think that's 100% correct. I mean, college football wasn't built on big markets. College football wasn't built around big cities. It was about, Tuscaloosa. Have you been to Tuscaloosa?
Yes.
There's nothing near it. There's nothing to do there. You have Rammer Jammers. Cool.
Yeah.
What the hell else are you going to do? But it means so much to them. And that's where it kind of gets diluted, and that's where we're losing, to me, along with the academic side, that's where we're losing the true meaning of college athletics.
Yes. I think here's a finer point on that. Not everybody in San Francisco cares about Stanford. Not everybody in Miami cares about Miami. Not everybody in Los Angeles cares about USC or UCLA, although USC to some bigger point because they were dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, dudes. And LA and Miami are very similar in this regard when it comes to sports. But everybody in some of these smaller markets do. Everybody in Birmingham's watching the SEC, and not just Bama. Mm-hmm. Everybody in Athens, Georgia is watching the SEC. Everybody in Baton Rouge and New Orleans are watching the SEC. And New Orleans is a pro sports town too, but that's an SEC.
It's different, though.
It's different. It's a little different. But, everybody, look, when Baylor's playing, I know that we're not a big town, but, most of the people are concentrated watching it. Like, you have
College Station.
Yeah, College Station. Again, not as big of a place, but the eyeballs are concentrated more. And so if I'm an advertiser, I sometimes will maybe want not necessarily volume, but effectiveness.
Exactly.
You know? So I want people to see and hear my spots. Now, I know that that's not the reality of it. The reality is like, listen, I'm an advertiser. I'm Budweiser. I want to be as many spots as I can be. I get it. Fine. But sometimes you can overestimate how many people care. We might get Sam Bradshaw on the show later. He wrote an article about this. Tony Altomare can talk about this. Some of these TV ratings differences are subjective depending on what you're really looking at.
Right.
I mean, the channel matters. All these things matter. So this is not as black and white as everybody would have it. And I'm not saying the Big Ten is like egregiously overvalued. They've done a good job at valuing themselves, but being able to loop those television markets in, of which some of it are ghost viewers, potential viewers that aren't ever really going to watch it. So you're selling on potential, really. Like, potentially, listen, if the Big Ten got super popular, everybody in Chicago, New York, LA, and DC could be watching it once.
But I don't think it matters, even in Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago is America's best sports town. If you're watching us from Chicago, you're in the best sports town. There's no better sports town, no better sports fans than in Chicago. Everybody in Chicago seems to get it, but their school is Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
So while they might go, and there's a lot of Notre Dame people and people from the Big Ten in Chicago. So yeah, Chicago was more of a college sports town than anywhere else of those big cities because of all the transplants, but it's kind of like Dallas. Like, you know, when you're getting Dallas, you could say that, yeah, you're getting A&M in Texas and all that, but you're also getting Mizzou and Kansas and everybody who's moved in from there. Oklahoma State. Like, that's what it is. Chicago's the same way. So, yeah, those are probably better college sports town because they're hubs, but, you know, New York City and Los Angeles are...
It doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, it's not like...
You can't tell me it. Like, I don't think you could prove it to me that the people in New York or L.A. give a damn about college sports. I just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So...